There are houses where people enter. But the house answers back 2016 . This story happened in 2016 . And the man who entered this house never came out the same. In today's episode of Dark Files, we dive into a strange story, the story of a house that wasn't just walls and a roof. No, it was a living entity that listened and responded. Are you ready to hear its tale? The house was old, on a quiet side street, far from the city's noise. From the outside, it looked ordinary, maybe just a little abandoned. Neighbors always said the house made sounds at night. Strange, unexplainable sounds. They described it as soft knocks, or slow footsteps, as if someone was walking inside in the dead of night. The windows were always black, like closed eyes, watching the street without letting anyone see inside. No one had thought of living there for years, and anyone who tried left quickly without looking back. 29. But then came Sammy. Sammy was a 29-year-old man, going through tough times and needing a place to live at any cost. He was looking for a cheap place to rent, anything to give him a roof over his head. When he saw the house, he felt it was perfect. The rent was unbelievably low, and that's all that mattered to him. The landlord, an old man, tried to warn him. He told him, "Son, this house isn't like any other. It has its own character." But Sammy laughed, saying he didn't believe in these superstitions. To him, they were just stories to scare people away, even though the landlord warned him, and despite the suspicious looks from the neighbors, Sammy moved in anyway. He was excited to start a new chapter, not knowing this chapter would be the last in his normal life. 3:07. The first night everything was quiet until 3:07 a.m. Sammy suddenly woke up to a soft knock from inside the house. The sound was clear but a bit distant. At first, he thought it was from upstairs or maybe from the street. He tried to ignore it and go back to sleep. But the knocking repeated a second time and a third and each time he felt the sound was closer. This time, the sound came from the living room next to him. His heart started beating fast. He got out of bed carefully and tiptoed. He stood in the middle of the dark room and whispered in a terrified voice, "Who's there?" At that moment, everything went silent, no response. But after long seconds that felt like years, he heard a whisper, a cold whisper coming from everywhere around him. The house answered back. The next day, Sammy was terrified, but a part of him was curious. Was what he heard real, or just a hallucination from exhaustion? He decided he had to know the truth. He decided to record. At night, before going to sleep, he placed his phone in the living room, set it to voice record mode, and left it on. He went back to his room, locked the door tightly, and tried to sleep for 12 a.m. Sammy was fast asleep, but his phone, which he left in the living room, the recording started by itself. When he woke up in the morning, the first thing he did was run to the living room to check his phone. He found the recording running. He put in his headphones and started listening. At first, it was just silence, but after a while, he heard footsteps. Very slow footsteps, as if someone was carefully walking on an old wooden floor. Then he heard breathing. Deep, cold breathing, very close to the phone's microphone. And at the end, in the last seconds of the recording, he heard a clear voice, a non-human voice that said one sentence that made his blood run cold. The voice said, "You are not alone." The next day. Sammy didn't wait a moment. He packed his few belongings in a bag, left that house, and never looked back. But in his fear and confusion, he left the most important evidence behind. He left the phone and the recording. A week later, the landlord got worried because Sammy wasn't answering his calls. He decided to enter the apartment to check on him. He opened the door and went in. The apartment was empty and cold. But on the living room table, he found the phone. The phone was still on ... and the voice recorder was still recording. The landlord picked up the phone, stopped the recording, and started listening to the last thing recorded. It was the sound of his own footsteps entering the apartment. And then a clear whisper, the same cold whisper that Sammy had heard. And the last sentence on the recording was, "The house heard you." Since that day, no one has heard from Sammy again. And the house still stands in its place, silent, waiting for its next victim. If a house answered you, would you stay ... or leave immediately? And remember, if this story scared you, don't forget to like and share. Stay tuned to Dark Files for more stories waiting for you.